Hi, I'm Jo. I run the Heating Hub. I'm also a single mum and probably like you, worried about the rising cost of energy prices. We've all been told to turn our thermostat down by 1 degree and wear extra layers to reduce our gas bills. And this is all really good advice. But I want to tell you about some really simple changes that you can make to your boiler that will reduce your gas bills today without reducing your comfort. A recent report found that households can save around 6 to 8% on their gas bills just by reducing the operating temperature of the boiler. We call this the flow temperature. It's the temperature that the boiler heats up the water to before sending it off to your radiators. A lower flow temperature equals higher efficiencies, which equals lower fuel bills. And in this video, Richard and I are going to explain how it works and how you can do it simply and safely yourself if you have the right kind of boiler.
Hi, I'm Richard Burrows. I'm an ex-heating engineer and business owner with a passion for energy efficiency. Today, I'm going to show you how to turn down the flow temperature on different boiler models. Firstly, you have to establish you have the right type of boiler. It has to be a condensing Combi boiler. You know you have a Combi boiler as you will not have a hot water cylinder. If you do have a hot water cylinder, we do not recommend you attempt this. You will have a condensing boiler if it was fitted after 2005, but condensing boilers were fitted before then. The best way to tell is to look under the boiler to see if it has a plastic pipe. This is the condensate pipe and is only present on condensing boilers. The condensing part of the boiler is critical for boiler efficiency. Jo will explain why, and then we will demo some common boiler models.
Condensing gas boilers were a great technological leap forward, improving efficiencies from around 78% or less for a non-condensing boiler to over 90% efficiency. This is because non-condensing boilers lost a lot of the heat they generated to outside through the flue. It was like leaving your back door open. Whereas condensing boilers can capture that heat before it leaves the boiler and recycle it back into your heating system, but only when they operate at a lower flow temperature. Most boilers are left at their factory settings, which is 80 degrees centigrade, by which I mean the boiler heats up the water to 80 degrees and sends it off to your radiators. This is too high for a condensing boiler to recycle that lost heat. When you see those big white plumes coming out of your flue, that is wasted, unused energy. It's like throwing money away. Condensing boilers need to operate at around 60 degrees centigrade to be 92% efficient, and a recent study found that around 72% of homes could stay warm on a typical January day at 60 degree flow temperatures. So by lowering the flow temperature, you can help your boiler spend more time in what we call condensing mode, but what is probably better termed recycling mode, when it can capture that heat before it escapes and put it back into your home.
With 40 plus manufacturers and hundreds of boiler models, there is lots of variation in how the flow temperature is controlled. We're going to talk you through some of the common boiler models and highlight the 3 main ways in which you can do this. Do not be afraid. You will not break your boiler or damage your heating system by turning down the flow temperature.
So step 1. This may sound really obvious, but you have to go to the front of your boiler. We are not turning down your thermostat. Step 2. Some boilers have controls on the front and others are behind a flap. It is okay to open the flap. Step 3. Check to see if you have dials, digital display or up and down buttons. If you have 2 dials, one will control the heating and will likely have a little icon radiator next to it. The other will control the hot water with tap icon. Just to confuse matters, the dials do not always show the temperatures of the heating water. This one shows numbers 1 to 6. Number 3 is about 55 degrees Celsius flow temperature. We recommend you set it to number 4 to start with. Other boilers show a single or dashed line, such as this Ideal Logic. 55 degrees Celsius will be about halfway, so you're going to want to set it a little higher.
The dials are clearly marked with a radiator for heating and a little tap for hot water. And if you turn the heating dial, you see the number changes in the display. And it's set at 75, so we're just going to turn it to 60. Don't need to touch any of those buttons there. And it will flick back to its standing temperature. And that's it, you're done. Press the menu button for a few seconds until the flow temperature appears in the digital display and you see a radiator flashing. This boiler has been left at its factory settings at 82 degrees Celsius. Press the minus button down to 60 and then press the menu button again and the radiator will stop flashing and the boiler will revert to its standing temperature. How low you can go will depend on how well insulated your home is. If you have double glazing and decent loft insulation, you should be able to drop the flow temperature to around 60 degrees Celsius. If you have a home that was built after about 2010 or particularly well insulated, you should be able to drop it to 55 to 50 degrees Celsius. You'll notice that the radiators don't feel quite so hot, but that is not a sign that the boiler isn't working. It's a sign that the system is running cooler but more efficiently. If you do not feel cold, you do not need to make any further adjustments. You can, however, try and turn the flow temperature down a little bit more and see if you stay warm. Unfortunately, your boiler cannot tell you how efficiently it's running, but you can go and check the flue and see how much energy is being wasted to outside. This is a boiler that's throwing a lot of its heat out of the unit that could be recycled back into your home at a lower flow temperature. And this is my boiler running no higher than 50 degrees centigrade flow temperatures. If I just put my hand there, I can feel a little bit of heat coming out of it, but no visible plume. It is recycling almost all of its energy back into the heating system. As outside temperatures begin to rise through the year, you can lower your flow temperature again and keep lowering it. The lower you can go, the more money you will save. You will not break your boiler if you lower the flow temperature, and you can always turn it back up again if you get a bit cold. If you're in a vulnerable household, however, we do not recommend that you trial and error with your boiler. It's really important you stay warm and ask an expert for help. Many Worcester and Ideal Combi boilers have a hot water preheat option. When switched on, the boiler fires at least every 90 minutes to keep the water in the pipes to your kitchen sink and bathroom hot all of the time. It can be a huge waste of energy, particularly if the pipes are uninsulated. On the Worcester boiler, you can turn the eco button on to turn the preheat off. And on older Ideal boilers, you can turn the preheat off via a dial on the front. On newer models, it's done via buttons. More help is available. If you have it, your boiler manual will provide more guidance on your boiler's flow temperature controls. If you do not have it, you can usually find the manual online if you have the boiler's GC number, which can be found on the boiler. Some boilers have their instructions on the boiler, which really does go to show that heating flow temperatures are designed to be adjusted through the year by the householder. You can also try the manufacturer's technical helpline. There are many more ways you can improve the efficiency of your boiler, and both my website and Richard's website have lots of information that you can access for free, including for those households that have a hot water cylinder.